You are taking a live look over the airport in Philadelphia where things are moving, but like many airports across the country, things not moving as fast as they normally would. We are on day 10 of the government shutdown, and we have seen a huge impact on airlines overall and at the airport. Specifically, when we talk about the air traffic control business, I do want to bring in Nick Daniels, president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, to talk about this. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And I do want to ask you, we had you on here about a week ago as everything was developing. So now that the government shutdown has been in effect for 10 days, how have things changed at airports, specifically with air traffic controllers?
With air traffic controllers, what you're seeing is the increased frustration in dealing with the high consequence job that they go to day in and day out, have to be extremely focused on what they're doing. They're ensuring the safety of millions of lives, and now every day they're thrust into the media spotlight. They're thrust into the conversation of something that has nothing to do with them. So it's not only extremely frustrating, but that's going to lead to a level of anger, a lack of focus, and that's what they're concerned about, is how do I keep all these distractions reduced? The government spends millions of dollars to teach us how to reduce distractions, stress, fatigue, and yet they're all in the focus. They're all coming to light, and we have to continue ensuring day in and day out that, yes, we're going to show up to work. We're going to do everything we can, and the people's safety comes first. So if there are areas that we need to slow things down, we do. And the other part that you're seeing at the airports is how fragile our staffing actually is. This is what we've been dealing with for years on end. Hundreds of facilities in 2025, hundreds of occasions have shut down to ATC 0. Another controller has to pick up that work. We have to either delay the system, and that is something that we deal with day in and day out. So now you're getting a chance to see it too.
What message do you want to get across to people who are watching? What maybe misconceptions exist about exactly what is going on here for the air traffic controllers?
I think the first misconception is, hey, don't worry about it. You'll get paid eventually. That's an absolute farce. We want people to know that anytime an American worker, anyone, we all live paycheck to paycheck. Air traffic controllers would tell you time and time again, they're never compensated enough for the amazing work that they do. But they still go to work. They know the burden and the responsibility on their shoulders, but having to plan your life around, we don't know when you'll have income again, that's no way to live. It doesn't pay the bills. The mortgages, continue on. The debt collectors come. Gas in your car to get to work. And, oh, by the way, providing food for your family. And if you have a controller that has a two-controller household, many of them married to each other, now the entire household isn't making any money. And as this drags on, we'll go to our primary job on a day or a night shift, and then we're going to have to start figuring out what to do, the few hours we should be resting. We'll have to drive Uber or have some steady stream of income until we eventually get back paid. And that is no way for our air traffic controllers or any person to have to live in something that has zero things to do with us.
What are you hearing, and you kind of touched on this already, but what are you hearing from your fellow air traffic controllers there as this continues to drag on? Because again, there is no end in sight. There's been discussions, there's been votes, but there is no clear end in sight in the coming hours, days, or possibly even weeks.
No, I'd say they'll tell you in 4 words, end the shutdown today. That's what they'll say. But beyond that is they know the level of responsibility that they have. They're doing everything that they can to manage this stress, to manage this fatigue, to show up to work, to continue to serve the American people day in and day out, and putting their safety first. And as the stress and the pressure grows, they'll ensure that they communicate what impacts that's having on them, the more challenges that this is going to create. We already had this week where our runway safety team can no longer meet. Like all the things that go on in the background where people are now furloughed, support teams are there, these actions aren't taking place, and that's going to build and increase risk in the system, and it'll be our job to call it out.
What message, and still speaking about messages here, do you want to send to passengers who are maybe concerned, worried, a lot of different adjectives there that we've heard? What message do you want to get across to them?
If you felt safe to fly before the shutdown, you should feel safe to fly today. just realize that there are stresses, impacts on this system every single day. Controllers are picking up the workload of something that should have been addressed a decade ago, of some, controller staffing, of equipment that is unreliable. And day in and day out, we still make the busiest aviation system run, keeping people safe every single day. These unsung heroes have your back. We're going to continue to be there for you, and we're going to ensure you get to your destination safely. And as situations develop or as additional complications come to light, we'll be doing our everything possible, and we will ensure that your safety and that you land and get to your destination where you need to be.
Going in reverse a little bit, can you explain the high stress aspect of air traffic control, the work in general, because you are in charge of these flights and making sure that everything does stay on course there?
Now, air traffic control is a bit of a mystery to people. A lot of people think they just get in the plane, it takes off, and the pilot knows where to go, and they land safely. I first want to say a huge shout out to all of the pilots that are out there, the Airline Pilots Association, and so many others that have gone in and sent food to air traffic controllers, making sure they know that they're being recognized during this time. But air traffic controllers guide every aspect of that flight. From the moment that you board that airplane and it pushes back, an air traffic controller is in control of it. Till the moment you get to that runway, till you take off, they cross you through thousands at any given moment, 7,000 other flights that are going through the U.S. And every single part of that is an air traffic controller making a decision, looking to find either a better route or making sure you're not conflicting with anyone in a major area or even in a less dense area. You would be surprised on how many thousands of decisions we're doing, how many readbacks are happening. We give a clearance to a pilot. They have to tell it to us back. We ensure that every aspect of that is correct, because if it's not, well, that could be the difference between life and death. So those controllers have to be 100%, 100% of the time, and it's stressful enough 5 days a week. Well, they do it 6 days a week, and they do it 60 hours in that week, and then you add the shutdown on top of it, and that's why we're here communicating for safety every day, of saying, we're there, we're showing up, we're going to do our job. But take us out of this situation, take us out of this equation, and let us do the amazing work for the American people day in and day out.
All right. Nick Daniels, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and helping to discuss this. We'll, of course, be in touch as we see everything play out over the coming hours, days, and weeks. Thank you again for being here with us.